I am absolutely shocked the way Studio Bones managed to make this episode of Noragami actually flow with the last episode, since we're getting into an anime original filler ending arc. So, good job Studio Bones, you did a good job of doing the way you put the pacing in this episode. So let's talk about this episode. This episode continues off with the fills from last episode of Yukine. We get to clearly see how much more mature he is in this episode, and see how much of a better character he is. I mean, he's sitting there wanting to work for Kofuku to pay back what he stole, and also work for Yato to be able to get more money for him. So really, we can actually see the good qualities of Yukine's character this episode, and a lot of people that probably had a lot of anger towards his character still after last episode most likely will slowly start to get attached to him, because this episode really just shows that. And you gotta love the adorable moments of Hiyori and Yato, the way they just look at Yukine like a child and their mother and father. That's just so freaking cute and adorable. The facial expressions were awesome. I love it. This episode had a very good atmosphere about it, and it managed to betray all the emotions we felt from last episode up into this episode once again. And this next coming arc, I will say, is really freaking good. Rabo, even though he's an anime original character in this series and that he has no consistency with the actual manga, I will say that his character introduction is really cool. We find out he's the god of calamity. I thought Yato was the god of calamity, so I'm actually really shocked about this one, because so there's two gods of calamity. What's exactly gonna happen is the Rabo, they're a god of calamity trying to, I guess, kill Yato because he's also a god of calamity. I mean, there's a lot of questions right there, but I felt like all in all I enjoyed this episode for what it did. It had a lot of creepy moments. Now Nora, for instance, I'm glad my freaking vibes of evil from her really paid off. She is definitely an evil character. We clearly see her evil intent in this episode. She's wanting to kill Hiyori. She's a nuisance. She's deluded Yato out of the way he's supposed to be in her eyes, and I felt like this episode really goes to show you what Nora's character is really about. Even though this may be an anime original, I guess, arc, we really see how Nora really acts underneath, and how she actually is very twisted and evil, wants Yato for herself, and she's actually trying to kill Yato with Rabo. Now, I don't understand. It looks like Nora really liked Yato to begin with. We saw her multiple different episodes wanting to help out Yato, but why exactly has she turned to Rabo to be able to kill Yato? Is she wanting to test Yato? Make him have to kill someone? I mean, there's a lot of questions here I could pull up with Furies, but I felt like, besides the point, the major actual plot drop of this arc got dropped right at the end of the episode, when we find out that Hiyori has lost her memories. I don't really like the idea of going the entire amnesia card, because this is a standard cliche we see in a lot of different anime, but I felt like it was really well done, and I did enjoy it, and the music and the atmosphere of the entire episode managed to back this entire element up of the actual plot device. So I felt like the entire aspect of Hiyori going with amnesia felt like the better logical route, because I mean, we got Tenjin earlier on this episode that pretty much stated to Yato to probably fix her entire, I guess, problem with her body constantly falling out of her body, as I've been saying over and over, she needs to get that fixed. Yato did not know how to fix it, so he goes to Tenjin and asks exactly how he can fix it, and Tenjin tells him that you need to detach yourself from Hiyori. You need to break the bond, sever the bond. And so this brought up an instant drama sequence in my mind. I'm like, oh my god, here we go. Yato and Yukine is gonna have to ignore Hiyori and not interact with her at all after how much Hiyori has done for those two. I felt like that would have made a bad taste in my mouth, and it probably pissed off a lot of fans. It would definitely made me upset and sad because of how much, I guess, development we've seen all these characters and how they interact with each other. It would definitely be a sad episode if we saw that. But the way they played it off at the end, with the entire aspect of Hiyori getting amnesia, I felt like it was a better route to take than seeing Yato play the entire jerk card, because I know a lot of us fans probably of Yato and Yukine wouldn't like to see that. So seeing this entire element, I think, is a lot better, and we can actually point our aggression and anger towards Nora and Rabo, what's going on. So really, next episode, it seems from the preview what I saw is that Hiyori hasn't all completely forgotten about Yato and Yukine. She seems like she has some form of bond still connected to them, but I'm curious exactly what did Nora do to Hiyori? What did she do to her? Like, when the entire scene, when you see Nora grab Hiyori, okay? And you start grab her face, I want to erase your existence. That's what she says. And then you switch over to the panel with Yukine and Yato, you hear a crunching sound. I thought Hiyori's neck got snapped. I don't know if it's just me, but the way the sound effect was in that scene, I was like, oh my god, that sounded like her head just got snapped. And then we see the fighting scene with Yato, I was like, oh, thank god. But anyways, that scared me at that one aspect, but I want to talk about the fighting scenes of this episode. I really enjoyed the fluid fighting scenes. I really loved the way Yato demonstrates his actual combo with Yukine this episode. We see how their bond is formed a lot better, and Yukine is a lot better partner to Yato. This was a really good episode to display this and how much Yukine really cares for Yato now. We get to see a little bit of comedy banter of how, you know, pretty much Yukine teases Yato for not having his own shrine or any money, but at the very least they've, you know, have a better, you know, connection, and I can really see how Yato is more of a father figure to Yukine after all these episodes. So really, I will say there's some really good comedy elements I need to get into about this episode that I really freaking enjoyed. I laughed a lot in. For one thing, Kofuku. That was so freaking hilarious. 10 million yen. Holy son of a gun. Hiyori has to pay that much because she asked for Kofuku's help to help Yato out. Wow, that is, that's pretty messed up, Kofuku. I see now why you're called the god of poverty, because you're definitely gonna put Hiyori into poverty. So, really, that was hilarious. I smiled at that, and you gotta love how Yato gets a student discount and puts down the entire price 90% and gets it down to 1 million yen. Still, 1 million yen is fucking insane. So, wow. I mean, you gotta love the martial art tactics freaking Hiyori does to Yato. Like, breaks his neck, it almost looks like, in like a stranglehold. That was hilarious. That was freaking funny. I like the different comedy, the way they displayed this. It managed to flow with the atmosphere of this episode. I enjoyed this episode all around. It was a good episode of Noragami. It didn't have as much sadness as last episode, which I don't want to feel those emotions again, because that really made me cry up in the last episode. I will say this, though. This episode was enjoyable, and even though this may be a filler arc, and we may get an anime original ending to Noragami, I feel like my feelings for Noragami will never be lost, and I feel like this episode was a very good episode to introduce this anime original character. Tell me your thoughts on this. Did you enjoy Rabo's introduction this episode? Did you enjoy this episode? What do you think is going to happen to Hiyori? Do you think Nora's actually maybe good? Is she really evil? Let me know in the comments below. Y'all have a wonderful day or not, wherever you live. Please stay safe. Everybody, love you so much. Chibi out.